Looks like some of you are still in your classrooms. I hope, thank you for joining us from, I'm sure, a long day of work, but it's almost Friday.
So close. All right, we just had a couple more people join, but I think we should get going. Steph, oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
I will keep
All
an
right,
eye out on the waiting room.
perfect. All right, well, welcome everyone to our Exchange Box meeting webinar. We're calling it a few different things, but it's going to be just a really casual opportunity to share some ideas with you and answer your questions and just hang out a little bit. So my name is Jenny McCaffrey. I'm a wild
Sorry, Jenny, you just got muted. Sorry about that. That was my
That's
fault.
okay. That's
I was
okay.
trying to let someone in the waiting room and it moved.
No problem. I was just saying that Steph and I will be leading the meeting today. We're both Wild BC facilitators. I'll let Steph introduce herself in a moment here, but I'm joining you from East Vancouver, the traditional unceded territory of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. And I'm so grateful to be able to live, work, and play in this special place. We are going to invite you to rename yourself if you'd like, with your first name, the grade you teach, and the town that you're joining us from, just so that we can all get a feeling for who's joining us, because this is a provincial program. I have a feeling we have people from all over the province. So if you want to rename to make that easy for everyone to check out, and if you want to share that in the chat, we'd love to hear from you there too. So I'm going to let Steph introduce herself in one moment, but we both decided we want to share with you kind of one exciting nature experience we've had recently. And mine is that on the walk home from school 2 days ago, my kids and I spotted this little guy in a tree just 2 blocks from our house. And we were really excited. It's a barred owl, in case you can't see through my screen on screen sharing there, but right below the tree were 2 owl pellets, and you could actually see the bones in there. So it was really, really exciting for us. So that's mine. I'm going to pass it over to Steph to introduce herself.
Thanks, Jenny. And so nice to see all of you here joining us today. And my name is Stephanie Weinstein, and I'm also a Wild BC facilitator with HCTF Education. And I'm so grateful to be joining you today from the traditional territories of the Lekwungen peoples, the Esquimalt and Songhees First Nations in Victoria. And my wow moment in nature, well, one thing is just the fall colors are so beautiful right now. And it's also another bird related thing is migration time. And I was out on the water near my house recently, and there was on one of the blue, beautiful sunny days, and there was what they call a kettle. So a kettle of turkey vultures. So that's what you call a group of vultures or raptors that are soaring in the thermals, and they're getting ready to cross the Strait of Juan de Fuca and head into Washington, crossing the water and then go further south to California and Central America. And they just wait till the weather is right. And there were over 100 birds just flying in a big thermal. It was just amazing. So that's my moment of the day.
Thanks, Steph. All right,
Cool.
I'm just going to run us through kind of the plan for the day, and then we'll all have a chance to share a little bit more. So for those of you who are not familiar with HCTF, we're an initiative of the Habitat Conservation Trust Foundation, HCTF Education. And within that, we have Wild BC facilitators like Steph and I who run programming across the province. So HCTF is a nonprofit foundation. You can read all of this, but there's more information we'll share through some links and a follow-up email afterwards as well. So the important stuff are some of the really fun programs. So Wild BC, we have school programs, workshops. If you're not familiar with the Wild Schools program, I strongly recommend checking out, but I imagine many of you have heard of the Exchange Box program through the Wild Schools program. It's a free 3-year program that involves professional development and resources and tools and facilitator time to support your school. There's a resource room on the website, which is going to be updated very soon, but it has everything from lessons to curriculum support, teaching kits, etc. And the Get Outdoors grants, I strongly encourage everyone to apply to these. There's 2 intakes per year, and that helps to support field trips and outdoor learning experiences, everything from bus money to some tools. So there's also high school-based granting program called LEAP Grants, the Environmental Exchange Box, which is why you're all here today, and the Wild Schools program that I just mentioned as well. So we'll share links to this so you can learn more later if you're interested. And today, we're just going to talk a little bit about what's in the Exchange Box. We're going to show you what it looks like. We're going to talk about some ideas. We're going to hear from some fabulous teachers who've had experience with the Exchange Box, and they can tell us a little bit about how that worked for them. And then we want to hear from you. We want to hear what your questions are and how we can support you in your Exchange Box journey. So I'm going to stop sharing here and pass it over to Steph.
Okay, actually, you can keep sharing.
I'm going to keep sharing.
Thank you, Jenny. Okay, so I think everyone here today has applied to be part of the Exchange Box program, or you are a Wild BC facilitator who is working with some classes in the Exchange Box program. So I think most of you know a little bit about it already, that it's a program that we started recently. Oh, you can go back for 1 second, if you don't mind. Yeah, so what it is we pair classes from around the province. We try to get classes from different regions. So these is a map of the eco-provinces of BC. And we try to pair them to share about their places and to have their students connect with their home biodiversity and then learn about their partner's class and where they're from. You can go to the next slide. So just these are some pictures of some students outdoors all over our amazing province. So whether you're living near a river or in a grassland, forests, the coast and the mountains, there's so much to share and to learn about. Okay, so you have all been applied and submitted your online application. So you should be familiar with the Smart Apply system. And that's the first step. And now you're here, which is fabulous. That's the biggest part of doing this. Right now, the office is really busy trying to find matches for everybody. This is our biggest year yet. We have 100 classes that are taking part in the program. We have matches for most of them. You will be hearing, and we will find matches for everybody. The big obstacle in some is trying to find classes that are similar in grade, and also to French classes or to English classes, and ideally in different regions of the province, so coastal and interior. But even if you end up having 2 schools from, say, the Lower Mainland, you can still share your learning in really meaningful ways by communicating with your partner teacher and deciding to focus on maybe different things to learn from each other. So we're working on getting all the matches. You'll be hearing in the next week who your match is. And for each class, there's a Wild BC facilitator that's assigned to your class to help support you and answer any questions. Step 3, so once a match is found, you will be sent back to the Smart Apply system, and there's some terms of agreement that need to be, that you just need to sign off on. And I'll just quickly tell you what these are. The big one is that you need to communicate with your partner class to work out details about when you'll be sending your exchange box, how many exchanges you want to do, and any other information to make the most out of your learning experience. The requirements are to complete a minimum of 1 exchange with your partner class before June 1st. And to share some of the learning, like photos or some feedback through our Padlet, which we will show you in later, through social media, to tag HCTF Education, or through other means of sharing. And there's also, you can get a photo release form, so by sharing photos, and a little summary and an online survey. It's actually it was a lot of words, but it's actually really easy. Communicate, do an exchange, share your exchange, and fill out a very short survey. So that's all the terms of agreement entail. So the next thing after that is, once you sign your terms of agreement, you're going to check in with your partner class. So that might be a Zoom meeting, an email, a phone call. And this is really important because we want to make sure that everyone has a really meaningful and successful experience with the program. And that's all about setting expectations with each other's classes, what you plan to do, when you plan to do it. And I think then the fun part is planning and creating your exchange and sharing. Oh, and shipping your box. You will receive a, oh, yes. Once you have checked in with your partner class, then you go back to your Smart Apply system, say, yes, I've checked in with my partner class, and then you get your box. Very exciting. In order to make sure that you receive all emails from us from the office, it's really important that you add these emails to your safe list. So we will be sharing this information with you so that you can do that. Okay, so what's in your box? I'm gonna do the live sharing now because I was very excited to see this. So I'm gonna just step back. So this is the box in case you haven't seen it before. So it's quite a big box. And so after you've checked in with your teacher, your partner class, the office will be sending this to you. And it'll have a free shipping label, and that's what you will use. It's not required to use the box, but if you decide you want to share videos or something else instead of the box, you just need to make sure that that's okay with your partner teacher. But you'll receive this box, and it comes with a whole bunch of fun things to get you started to explore nature. So we have a magnifying glass. Let me see if I can do this like this. Oh, it's a little bit hard. If you have digital items you want to share, photos and things, there's a flash drive. There's a whistle. So when you're outdoors with your students, you can keep them all together. We've got a great HCTF clipboard, all sorts of some activities, a Nature Wild magazine, which is about BC's biodiversity for kids, a magnet, a little outdoor bag. Anyway, that just gives you some ideas of what you'll get. We have a photo of it as well. You could share that again, Jenny, because that's probably easier than me holding things up. There you go. So these are some of the things that you'll receive in your box. Just some special prizes and things for you to use. Okay. And you can go to the next one. Now, after you do an exchange, you get to, through the Smart Apply system, you can choose, these are some incentive gifts that we have for you to choose from. This is just a sample. There's many different things you can use. We have some amazing resources that have been developed recently. So these are some identification cards just to help your students and you learn about and explore biodiversity in the region. So there's, and some of these are available in French as well, including this Backyard Biodiversity and Beyond is a resource guide with a whole bunch of activities, and it's in French or English, and you can choose. So this is just a small sample. I have some of them with me here too, so you can see the sizes. Like this is a brand new one, identifying spiders by their webs. And the other ones are kind of smaller pocket guides. So, so as far as things to put in your box, I just wanted to take a quick moment to mention collecting. So collecting is not required. You can share in so many other ways without collecting natural objects. And also you really need to make sure that you're not collecting in places where collecting is not permitted in most parks, definitely provincial and national parks and most regional parks and some other types as well. Do not include anything perishable or breakable. And most importantly, with any collecting that you're going to do, I think it's really important that you model to your students reverence and gratitude to nature, and thinking about, should we collect this? And maybe if we do, we just take a very small piece of it and it's nothing rare. And also make sure not to include anything invasive. If you're not sure, maybe don't include it or find out what it is. So things that are not alive is the key.
Thanks, Steph. All right. I'm just going to quickly point out the Exchange Box student contribution rubric. I know it's a little bit fuzzy here. Do not worry, we will share this with you, and it's also online, but it's just an example of some ways that you could assess this through curricular links if you're going to do that with your class. So I just wanted to point that out before we jump into some ideas. So there's so many ways that you can approach the Exchange Box. This is just a little word guide, a word cloud of some ways that you could do it. And here are some great pictures that we've had from teachers, and we'll hear from them very shortly here. The one on the right is really neat because some teachers pair up the students with another specific student, or they have individual students send things from themselves. So you can just see here, these are for their pen pals, their exchange pen pals. And then on the left, just some beautiful art, an example of that, you're not having to collect things, you can easily do things like this. This is we've had some feedback from teachers, and so I'll just read this quickly. We've got a few of them here too, but our grade 1-2 class located in Pacific Spirit Park was thrilled to exchange with our partner class in the Kootenays. We looked up on Google Maps, and it was interesting to see the similarities and differences in locations. In our final swap, we included a guessing game of different specimens found in our 3 favorite park spots, a selection of poetry, and a poster of living things that we've seen in the park. So lots of different ways that you can fill that box. Here's another really fabulous one as well. I'll let everybody read this too, but this was one of the Exchange Box teachers focused on learning about the 215 students who never made it home from Kamloops Residential School. And they wrapped up a variety of different nature items in tissue paper. You can just see that in the picture, but you can't see actually what they are in there, including these heal all flowers. So included book of their recent field trip discoveries and coloring pages, as you can see, honoring those children. Here's another one. I'll let you read that piece, but just a great example. You can see the map here. Really neat to be able to see exactly where that school is located in that space. Another great experience, and I'm sure that we'll hear a number of different experiences here, but they did a video call. This group did a video call with the class and got to ask questions about what they sent. So that was kind of a fun little idea as well. All right, so I'm going to invite a very special guest, and made even more special by the fact that she used to be my teacher. So I am really excited to welcome Robin Parr from General Gordon Elementary to talk about her experience with the Exchange Box.
Thanks, Jenny. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I actually, until about 10 minutes ago, I didn't realize, because Jenny's last name is different now. I didn't realize Jenny was Jenny until I saw her. super surprise, but yeah, you were a great student, Jenny. Fantastic. I still remember.
Of course, you have to say that now.
No, yeah, no, I've been teaching for a long time, and it's always interesting and exciting to participate in a new activity. So I kind of stumbled upon EcoBox Exchange, and I'd never done it before. And I thought it was a wonderful opportunity to explore the ecosystem in our beautiful neighborhood, which is in Kitsilano in Vancouver. And also it was a COVID year. So we were looking at things to do outside. So it sort of checked a bunch of boxes. It helped teach the children about the environment. It gave an opportunity to connect with children from another part of the province, and it got us outside. The website, I have to say, was a great resource to find ideas of what to do. I'd never done it before. And I'm not sure if you had this webinar last year. If you did, I missed it. But this is like a great opportunity, but I didn't participate in this. So just getting ideas from your website, sort of brainstorming myself, different things to do. So we live in a beautiful, beautiful part of the world. And I think with the kids, we kind of talked about the different kinds of things we wanted to share. And I think that that's a great place to start, is to brainstorm with your students, what they're interested in, what they think your neighborhood has to offer, and then ways you can showcase and share. All along, I thought that I would be using that box, which it's a really good size. It was that part of this activity is seamless. Sent the box, a return envelope with a sticker, stuck it on, it got delivered. It was very straightforward and easy. So we were thinking about things that could fit inside the box. So, and also thinking about ways to honor and observe the environment without sort of taking pieces from it. So a place to start was taking pictures of our neighborhood. So we went on a lot of neighborhood walks, and we walked through Kitsilano in the neighborhood, and we went to the beach, and we shared pictures. Our buddy class was in Kamloops, and my students, we do pen pal letters, and with kids from East Vancouver, and that's like another part of the world. They don't even cross, a lot of them haven't crossed Main Street. So to do an eco exchange with some, kids in Kamloops, that's, as close as it is as part of the province, it could have been, we were doing it with kids in Switzerland. So it was, it's really exciting for them to learn and connect with children from other places, and especially in our own province. So we did, what you're seeing here is just, we did a collection of pictures, and we put together a book, and there's about 5 or 6 pages to that book. We made a good way to look at things in the environment without taking them is rubbings. So we did a lot of leaf rubbings, and we talked about how our deciduous trees might be different than the trees in Kamloops. We did a lot of comparing. We researched a little bit of what our buddy class, what their flora and fauna were. And then we did a comparison, and we tried to send things that we thought they didn't have. The same thing with shells. So we actually did, because there were a lot of them, we did send a few shells and sticks and things, but we also did rubbings, which was really fun for the kids, and was, very, very visually attractive. On the right there, you're seeing animals. So each child, we brainstormed animals that were indigenous to the coast, and we did a little bit of research on those animals, and they wrote, those are postcards. So they drew pictures and learned some facts, and then wrote my buddy class, we sent each other our pen pal, the names of our classes, and we wrote to each other, which again gives a real personal connection. And then we did some mobiles. So those are, we got sticks from the environment, and we yarn, and we did the food webs and life cycle webs, and we made little mobiles, and they folded up really small, so they fit in the box quite nicely. Is there anything else on the slide deck? I can't remember. Did I send, is that all of it, I think?
Yeah, those are all the photos.
Yeah, and then I can't even remember, but we sent other things too. The box was pretty full. And we would just, the intention was to have 2 exchanges. So our dates were that we were going to send this off right before the winter break, and then again in the spring. Once we sort of sent things off, received the box, saw what was in it, we would kind of go from there to see what the second exchange would be. I will say that communicating with your buddy class is crucial. Setting realistic expectations and timelines is crucial. And if one of the partners is feeling overwhelmed, because this, for me, like, I'm an experienced teacher, I even felt, this was not a unit. I don't know if you're I don't know if this is actually, this is a chunk of your program. For me, I found out about being part of this after I'd already organized my my core units of study. So this was an add-on. So, and I work part-time, 3 days a week. So I had to kind of coordinate how I was going to insert these activities into what I was already doing. And I'm not sure about my buddy class. She was a newer teacher, and I guess she got overwhelmed and found it difficult to go through with putting together items for the box. So we never, I was not the recipient of a box. And you know what? It was still an amazing activity, and we got a lot out of it, and the students got a lot out of it. And but I would say that one lesson learned, I'm not sure. I mean, the facilitator that we had was amazing and kind and thoughtful. And I gave, a few weeks after Christmas, and then I contacted the facilitator who was assigned to us that we hadn't received our box. And then, I know that she worked on the other end with that. But if you are feeling overwhelmed, reach out early, because, and you know what, even I heard Jenny say, just doing a Zoom call with your other class. It doesn't have to be, we didn't need concrete items sent in a box. We could have just done a little exchange or something. But anyway, that would be lessons learned, is if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're not going to be able to go through with the exchange, let people know early. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Robin.
Yeah. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see the
Okay.
chat, but if anyone
Yeah.
has a question for Robin.
Yeah, I just also want to address a couple things that Robin said, and that is, we're very sorry that you didn't receive an exchange, and I want to make sure that everyone who's here doesn't worry about that, because we've changed the program in a lot of ways to really prevent that from happening. It's not common, and so that's why we have facilitators assigned to each teacher. And so if you're not receiving a box, let us know. Or if you suddenly don't have any communication with your partner teacher, then the facilitator can try. We can try to do other things like in this worst case scenario, which is to assign you to a different class. We can create an exchange ourselves. We have lots of different ways to make sure that your students have this interesting and exciting experience of the exchange. And then another word of advice that I would echo with what Robin said is, start small. Don't try to take on too much. Don't try to create some huge new project. Just incorporate the exchange box into the things that you're already doing with your students. So it doesn't have to be a really huge writing project, or if you haven't taken your students outdoors on field trips, you don't have to do anything big. It can be something just, when you're outside in the schoolyard, what are the trees in your schoolyard, or even doing things inside the classroom, doing some research about things that you're already studying with life cycles, or whatever is part of the curriculum and the units you're already doing.
Thanks, Steph. Before you introduce our next guest, I'm just going to quickly share the Padlet, which Steph mentioned before, but I just wanted to show you. I'll share it in the chat so that you've all got the link to it. But as you can see here, this is where a lot of teachers have shared their exchange boxes, so you can read a little bit more about some of the other experiences and ideas. I'm just scrolling through so you get a feel for what's on there as well. People can post about other programs as well within HCTF education. So there's a bit of a mix, but lots of exchange boxes in here, which is really fun. So I'll share that in the chat while Steph introduces our next guest.
Okay, great, thanks. Well, Darby, would you like to go next?
Sure, I can go.
Great, thank you. So maybe you could just say what grade you teach and where you're from and what your highlights or word of advice would be with your experience.
Sure. So I teach at Stony Creek Community School in Burnaby. So we are steps away from a beautiful creek, which is wonderful for outdoor education. I kind of want to give a little bit of a background on what I did for my box. So we created Eco Bricks as a class, and it's just stuffing clean, soft plastic inside a water bottle. And this can actually be used in places to create structures like houses. I think in the Philippines, they do this and they create houses with these bricks. So our school had a project to teach some of our older kids about this wonderful work that is being done overseas. And I wanted to bring it into my classroom. So I brought in a whole bunch of water bottles and a whole bunch of plastic that I had cleaned and cut up. And I taught my class about Eco Bricks. And I was doing this before I knew about the environment exchange box. So we decided as a class that we wanted to teach the other school about Eco Bricks. So we created a fun little book called Stony Creek Plastic Ninjas. And we took pictures about cleaning up garbage on our school property, keeping our community clean. We talked about why we want to keep our school clean and why we want to keep our community clean and how we can do that as a classroom and as a school. And I'm not going to read you the book. It's a little bit long, but the kids had so much fun with this. Every day they'd be like, when are we going to be plastic ninjas again? I want to go out and clean our school. So we did that a lot and we had fun ninja poses. So yeah, I just created a book as a class. We took pictures and the kids helped me figure out how we were going to write the story, what pictures were going to be in it. And then we just put in an eco brick and we hoped that it taught kind of some more ways to help with our environment. And the exchange box was a great way to keep the kids motivated on making eco bricks and wanting to help. So yeah, that's my experience. Oh, actually, sorry. From my partner school, we got these wonderful pictures of nature. So I actually put them in these little sheets and I now keep them as story workshop pages. So we take them out and they're just like story maps. So I think these are wonderful and I'm going to keep them for years for the kids to use.
That's so great, Darby. Thank you. What a unique thing to learn about and for your partner class. So where was your partner class located?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay, that's all right.
I think it was, I think it might have been Kamloops.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were there any challenges that you had to overcome or anything you want to share along those lines?
Sure. The biggest thing with my class, or sorry, I guess I didn't share what grade my class was. My class was grade 1 last year. So this was very teacher directed. I really wanted it to be student directed, but sometimes with the little ones, it's like pulling teeth. So this was very much pushed from me. Yeah, so that was my biggest challenge, was getting more ideas from the kids and continuing the process for them, and so that we could send a box.
So one thing I want to mention also along those lines is, because everyone has a facilitator that is paired with them, if you're having some, you need some help with ideas or wanting ways to maybe have it be coming from the students or some like unique eco brick ninja project. So your Wild BC facilitator has dedicated hours to help support you. So just reach out with that. And another thing that I forgot to mention as well is when you receive your box, each of you, each person in the program receives a box. You don't have to wait for your partner to send the box. So you can even send them around the same time. You will also receive a welcome to the exchange box sheet that has some information and some of these little details in it. But I'm also going to put in the chat the area of our website that has all the forms that you'll need, you know, the checklist and just the Padlet link and the assessment rubric, all of those things. I'll just put that in the chat now. But
Okay.
thank you so much, Darby, for sharing your experiences.
All right. Well, we have one more special guest who I'd like to introduce. We have Kylie London from Vancouver. Kylie, we'd love it if you could share what grade you taught last year for the exchange and a little bit about what you did.
Thank you. So the class I had last year was a grade 1-2 class. And we had the biggest challenge, I think, was that we couldn't do any field trips. So with COVID being a challenge, I would have liked to have taken the kids to the beach on a field trip and collected some seashells or done something interesting there with sand. I would have loved to take them to the forest and collected some things, but we were really limited just to our schoolyard. So I tried to make that work in our favor. I attempted to build as many cross-curricular connections as I could into it so that it wasn't a separate activity from what we were learning in the class and what I was teaching. I tried to incorporate math and social studies and science all throughout. And so we would try and do different activities, but have a piece that came out of it that was then able to be put into the box. So for example, we started off with a language arts. They did a bio writing. So took a lot of help. Again, grade 1-2, like the last speaker, they require a fair amount of assistance. But we talked about who we are, what we like, what we do. And then I included a prompt about what their favorite thing to do outside is, just to get that sort of connection to the outside world. We looked at the biodiversity in our schoolyard, and we were really lucky to have a ginkgo biloba tree, which the kids love learning about how interesting they are, and the fan-shaped leaves and the changing of colors. So we also did leaf rubbings, but we also compared that as a deciduous tree to the evergreens, and we were very fortunate to have a cedar tree. So we tried to incorporate some learning about the cedar tree, some of the connections with the First Peoples Principles of Learning, that we were able to make some Indigenous connections with the cedar and its role in First Nations communities locally. And so we were able to do some leaf rubbings there, some comparing and contrasting deciduous and evergreen, which then led to some graphing that we were able to do for math, which fit in nicely with the curriculum. We did graphing around our schoolyard as a walking field trip. And we would send a sample of what we did, but also a blank, so that the teacher was able to use that blank if they wanted to do a similar activity with their students. And then we, encourage them to send it back and share what theirs looked like. So, maybe we had 65 evergreens, and I don't remember what the number was. Jenny would probably know the actual numbers, 14, deciduous trees, and we could compare what theirs looked like compared to ours. We did some mapping for social studies, and the kids loved it when we used Google Earth and started out with the globe and worked into our continent and into our country and into our province. And so it's kind of that reverse of me on the map. So we were able to look at where we were and then zoom over to where our partner school was located and look at what they had around them. So my partner school, I was a little worried because they were a very similar area. We were partnered with someone outside of Victoria, and I was in Vancouver. So we have a lot of the same trees, but they were really close to a forest. So they had that advantage where we were doing urban and they had forest. So we were able to compare that. What else did we include? We did an alphabet scavenger hunt, which was part of my language arts phonics activity. So we shared that with them. And then we also did an egg carton where we collected items from our schoolyard, different seeds and leaves and cones. As an aside, I read that you're supposed to, neutralize any seeds so that you're not transporting any seeds anywhere else. So we baked all those things in the oven. I did at a really low heat to make sure that we wouldn't be sending, invasive species anywhere. But I'd also double checked that they were common species. Most of them were just imprints of things that we found. So we wouldn't send the actual item. We tried to avoid any seeds, but like a leaf was okay that we'd flattened, that sort of thing. And then we made it into a puzzle. So they could see from the picture of the carton what we had, and they had to try and see if they had the same things. So they weren't being sent back and forth, but that they could compare what we had to what they had and put the puzzle together to match the picture on the egg carton and learn to identify what those items were. What else did we have? I think that might be it. I think the other thing that was interesting was the other class sent some pictures similar to the ones that the other person just shared about things that they had done and sent photographs. So I feel like we could have done a better job of sending more photographs and sharing video that way, and maybe doing a Zoom, now that we're all so familiar with this environment, doing a Zoom class where we get to meet each other that way and showing our things rather than sending it necessarily. I hope that helps.
That's great. Thanks, Kylie. I'm going to share in the chat for everybody who is in Vancouver the tree map, because the city of Vancouver has mapped every single tree on city property, the scientific name and common name, etc. So if you're here, and there may be something similar in other districts, so I encourage you to look that up as well. But thank you so much for sharing, Kylie.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So before we jump into some questions, and please feel free to throw your questions into the chat, I'm just going to do a quick little word cloud now that you have heard about all of these fabulous ways where you can connect with your classes. Let me just see. Sorry, I'm just going to try to present this here.
While Jenny's getting that ready,
Yeah.
I just want to say you are by no means need to be using the box. That's completely optional. So again, the main thing is just to, there was one class that I was working with that they were really hoping to receive a box from another class. So it's just all about setting those expectations and communicating with your partner teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many different ways you can do this. I've just included the link to this word cloud. So if you click that link, it'll pop you to a new browser. And if you could just tell us something special about where you live in BC. So using one to three words, let's see if we can get a cool word cloud going here.
So I'll just say the code out loud in case you just have one browser. So once you click on the link in the chat, enter the code 2789 83 and 3. 27 89 83 3.
We have one person who's made it. So much rain. I love that.
Having a hard time coming with one word. Mine's like a sentence.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. So many people are coming in now. This is great. I love these words. This is fabulous. Beautiful mountains seem to be the most popular word so far. I love it. Okay, well, I'll let that populate and we'll share that. I'll share that as a little photo at the end as well. Well, maybe I'll just let that keep going here. I think we've got more coming into the chat. There we go. All right, I'll stop sharing that for now and save it as a photo. But I think what we would love to do is you can always change the view. You can change from speaker to gallery, but if everybody wants to change it to gallery and turn on their video and unmute, if you've got any questions for the teachers who joined us to share their experience, if you would like to share an experience with us that you had, or if you have a question, now is the time.
I'm also putting in the chat an area of our website. We have in the resource room, we have lots of lessons, but I'm putting one particular area that has some scavenger hunts, some seasonal activities, connecting to nature in different habitats. So I just put in that link there. Our website is going to be changing, and it'll be a lot easier to find things because it'll be searchable. So this might be found in a different place eventually, but you'll be able to search for it as well. Does anyone have any questions or any ideas that they want to share about what you think you might want to put in your box? You can raise your hand, or I see Diane has her hand up, or you can
Hi,
put it in,
Jenny.
feel free to put it in the chat too. Hi, Diane.
Amy put in the chat, when will our boxes be arriving from HCTF?
Okay, so the first thing is, so some of you may have missed the, and I'll just repeat it anyway because it's a bit confusing. So the checklist of what happens first. So right now you've applied for the program. We're getting a match for you. And once you have a match, you will receive an email with information about your partner teacher and a link back to the Smart Apply. You have to go back into the same program that you used to apply for the program. And then you have to check off on the terms of agreement, which is about communicating with your teacher and ways that you need to share, committing to do at least one exchange before June 1st. Those are the main terms of agreement. And then once you check in with your teacher, you have to check in with your partner and discuss how you want to exchange, best way to communicate with each other, when you want to do it, just those basic types of things. Then you go back into the program, the Smart Apply program, check off a little area where it says, yes, I've connected with my partner, and then you will receive your box in the mail. So the reason we do it this way is just to ensure that that communication really happens and that you make those connections with your partner teacher, because that's the key to having a successful experience in the program. So in the next few days, by next week, you should have a match, and then you can get started and you'll receive your box soon after your partner. And so many good ideas shared. Sand candles. Oh, I love that. Photograph soundscapes of the ocean and forest. Yeah, very great. Another really easy thing you can do even in the schoolyard, I'll just share an idea. This has been really popular with my a school that I'm working with, which is every student or a small group of students, depending on how many trees you have in your schoolyard, could adopt a tree or adopt a little plot, you know, like get a little circle rope and go back to that spot and observe and sketch it or write stories about it. Look at how it changes over the seasons. So something like that can be very easy and engaging for students of all grades.
We included photos of a tree in our schoolyard as a seasonal change for ours, as it was how it looked in the right when school started. Maybe now there's still enough leaves on a deciduous tree, and then as it changed through the seasons, we sent that when we sent our box later in the school year.
And just in case people are not monitoring the chat, someone asked if it's just one box that you trade back and forth, and it's not. You'll each have your own individual box. So just to be clear about that.
And as for the checklist, I believe that will come, it's on our website. I'm just gonna leave Zoom for a minute and I'll find that it's on, did we put the exchange box in the chat? I'll put it in again. So we've been, I think it's the most up-to-date form. So I will.
Thanks, Steph. While you're doing that, Diane.
Thanks. So I just wanted to let people know too, that this is a great way for partnerships to happen with other groups. So I'll just give a quick example. My group is in Port Alberni, but what we are doing, we just had a guest presenter come in from the Institute of Urban Ecology, Douglas College. And Naomi is coming in free to my class. She came in for her second day today. The first time was to do the beetle watch, and it's an invasive, introduced species. And so she taught us how to do a beetle watch with cups, plastic cups, and dug into the ground with a little a styrofoam lid over it. Very simple to do. I'm going to be sharing that with my partner in Port Alberni. But today she also came back and did invasive species to help us learn what they are. And so my class is going to be sharing that with my other class. And so she's given me permission to kind of share what we have learned that way with our partner class. So she's open to more people connecting with her through Douglas College Institute of Urban Ecology for those in the Lower Mainland. Thanks.
Thanks, Diane. Right. So Steph has just shared the teacher instructions and the checklist into the chat, but I believe we will follow up with a number of these resources as well. Are there any other questions? Steph and I are both happy to hang around and answer really specific questions. If you've got a question about your own class or anything else you'd like to ask us, but if you've got any questions, feel free to shout them out.
The one link that I put in that has the Exchange Box website, at the bottom it has all the different forms. You will also receive it in your box when you get it, but that checklist will be there.
Thanks, Steph. And this is the first time that we have offered a welcome webinar as well for the Exchange Box. So we hope that it was useful. We hope that everybody will be set up for success this year in their exchanges, but we really encourage you to reach out to your own facilitator or to any of us at HCTF Education to support you and make sure that this is a success for you and your class and your partner class. And we're just so excited you're part of the program.
Your facilitator will, I see
Sorry,
how
I
to
was gonna ask about the
Sure.
facilitator piece. So is it our school, like BC Wild School facilitator, or is it just a facilitator for the two classes?
Each class will have its own facilitator. If you're part of a wild school already, it will most likely be the same facilitator that you already have for the wild school. Many people are not part of the wild school program, so they might have a different facilitator assigned to them that they haven't met before.
Okay, and we're gonna heard about them.
Yeah, you'll hear about them in the next, because the office is matching. So there's been 100 classes that have applied, and I think 86 already have matches. We're just getting matches for the last few, and then you'll hear in the next few days or next week, you'll get an email with information about who your partner class is and who your facilitator is and all the next steps that need to happen. So you don't have to frantically remember all the things that we've said. You'll be hearing it again and again. And another thing I wanted to do is put in, if anyone's interested in if you're not already receiving our Wild Connections newsletter, I'll put in the link to how to sign up for that. It's a great way to just, it doesn't come out very often, and it'll give you some other ideas, and you'll learn about new resources or activity ideas in the seasons.
There you go. Thanks, Steph. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Steph and I will stay online for a few minutes here, but we really appreciate you joining us today, and good luck with your Exchange Box.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's we look forward to seeing your photos and hearing about your exchanges, and a big thank you to Robin, Darby, and Kylie for sharing their experiences with the program.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, have a great day, everyone.